Okay, we are live.
Great.
All right, so Alex, why don't you just start by telling me your name, where you go to school, and just a little bit about your involvement with the Jewish community before you went to college.
Okay, so I'm Alex Brazell. Where else do I? Oh, I go to Muhlenberg College. Sorry. And before coming to college, I went to Lamaze, a Jewish school in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
I went there for 12 plus years through nursery all the way through 12th grade. It's a modern Orthodox Jewish school.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to a Jewish summer camp called Camp Monroe, denominational. For most students, for most campers, it was their only connection to Judaism was just going to this camp.
Mm-hmm.
And I also did the Nativ College Leadership Program as a gap year in between high school and coming to Muhlenberg. That is a conservative program affiliated with the conservative movement in Israel and USY and that kind of thing. So I've kind of dabbled in all of the denominations of Judaism, and now I'm at Muhlenberg and I work for Hillel.
Okay. Great. So, okay, so clearly you were very involved in high school. When you were looking at colleges, what role did Jewish life on campus play in your search, and how did you sort of evaluate it when you were looking at different schools?
So it definitely played a role. I was only looking at schools where there was kosher food and, a big Jewish presence on campus. Muhlenberg stood out because it's this like small college in Allentown, Pennsylvania, which isn't too far away from home for me. And they have from my perspective then, it looked like a thriving Jewish community, 30% Jewish, which is crazy at a school that's, only 2,200 students. So that definitely stood out from the outside looking in.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely wanted something where I could do Shabbat on Friday night and, have the opportunity to do more things other than just like Jewish things, I guess, through Hillel. So also looking at like what other programs they have to offer and like how students get involved and that kind of thing. Those were definitely things that I looked for when I was going into college search and that kind of thing.
Okay, great. And since you work at Hillel and obviously are very involved, are there particular programs that you have been really excited about since you've been at school?
Yeah, so I guess before I started working at Hillel, I was on the student board. Mm-hmm. And I was our social chair, so I was really involved in planning social activities for Jewish students on campus and non-Jewish students. Anyone's invited to all of our programming, which I also think is really special about our Hillel and Hillel International in general. But I planned a lot of like social things. We had a formal at Hillel. We went apple picking. We've gone bowling, ice skating, all sorts of things to just kind of get people involved and have a really positive association with Hillel. Doesn't have to be a Jewish like immersion kind of thing, like just so that a lot of people can have a really positive connection with the organization. And then as a staff person this year, something huge that we started was engagement interns. So we've really been working on meeting almost every Jewish freshman who's come into the freshman year class this year. We have coffee dates with them. We invite them to freshman only activities. We had a mezuzah making event for them, which was really nice because they could kind of like make their own home here and do that. But we've also done a lot of like social secular programming for them as well. So that was something that is really successful this year.
Okay,
our
that's great.
freshman.
And do you find that, with such a large Jewish population, I'm sure there's, a range of observance levels. Do you find that there's any sort of tension between sort of the less observant and more observant students?
Yeah, I mean, because it's a multi-denominational, it is kind of hard to, Friday night dinner say, put your phone away, because for some people, that's not a part of their custom.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a tricky balance because you don't want the more observant students to feel uncomfortable and you don't want the less observant students to feel uncomfortable. So there are some weeks where we'll say, let's try to have like a fully immersive dinner. Like if you were at dinner with your family, you wouldn't take your phone out. So maybe just kind of like tweaking the language a bit and not necessarily catering to one or the other, but just kind of like explaining things more
Mm-hmm.
is really how we go about like getting everyone to feel comfortable.
Interesting. Yeah.
And we also, yeah, and we've also been our reform services and our conservative services are very thriving, like really thriving, and are excellent and very well attended. So we have been working on getting more Orthodox students to feel more comfortable, and that's just kind of something we're working on lately.
Yeah, that's great. It's just one of those things that it's interesting to see. And I'm just curious, coming from Ramaz, do you have are any of your high school friends at schools where, the Jewish population has been a problem, or, where they just haven't felt comfortable? Or I'm guessing a lot of students tend to go to the same
Yeah.
colleges because they know that former students have gone there and been fine.
Yeah. I would say that everyone's been, happy wherever they end up. I don't think anyone's had like a bad
Yeah,
experience
I'm
or
just curious.
uncomfortable experience. Um, I think it's just always interesting, like when people go to college and have to figure out what Judaism is for themselves and what they want it to be, because, it's not Ramaz. We don't get off for holidays and we don't get off for all of those things that we've never had to have conflicts for. So it's kind of just making that point and deciding for yourself, where you're comfortable and your professors will understand. I know that at some schools it's harder to miss a lot of class, but I found that it's very easy and your teachers are, understanding about it, which is nice.
It's more on their radar when there's such a large Jewish population.
And because it's a small school, so
Yeah.
they notice if you're not in class and they want to know why you're not in class. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess just that sense of discomfort, I guess. But yeah, it's been good here. So we're trying to keep that good.
Yeah, no, I've heard fantastic things. I was on campus a year or two ago, just to visit, and I was really impressed. What have there been any sort of, we're looking at sort of trends nationwide. A lot of parents are concerned about, as I'm sure you are aware, like anti-Israel, BDS type stuff. Is that much of an issue at Muhlenberg?
Luckily, it's not as of lately, which is great. We do have a really big Jewish presence, but we are getting a lot more just like diversity on campus. So I'm not really sure if the climate will change in the future, but as of now, there hasn't been anything. We even did over the summer for because there's a very big Jewish community in Allentown in general. Like it's very interesting. There's actually 3 synagogues in our area. There's a Orthodox one walking distance from campus, a conservative one, and then a reform one, which is literally across the street from Hillel. I kid you not, not on campus or anything. But we have a really good relationship with all of the synagogues in the area. So over the summer, we did a like combating BDS seminar for rising college freshmen. So that was nice to do for the community, and our Hillel rabbi led that over the summer. So even though not some of them were coming to Muhlenberg and some of them were going elsewhere, it was just a nice thing to do for the community as well.
That's great. All right. Well, is there anything, in thinking about high school students and counselors who are advising high school students, is there any advice that you would give to kids or their families about sort of how to learn more about, you know, what they should be looking for and how to learn more about Jewish life on campus when they're evaluating different schools?
Yeah, I think that being understanding that it's not always going to be as easy a transition as we think is really important. It's not going to be Friday night at your home. It's going to be different. And I think it's awesome to embrace differences and embrace all the different ways that people practice Judaism, because there's no wrong way, in my opinion. And it's really important to understand that, especially going into college where it might be the first time that people are meeting people that are different from them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to just keep an open mind about it. Also, just for me, in terms of like kosher food and whatnot, like, I mean, here we have one dining hall and they put all their effort into it and it's really amazing. And not feeling like I have to just go to Hillel or Chabad or anywhere specific just to have kosher food and feel very separated from the rest of the community is really important. I know, like, when our kosher food is called the noshery. Mm-hmm. So when the nosh has chicken wings or shawarma, those are like the biggest days in the dining hall. Like, all the football players line up, everybody lines up, and it's fun. I love when all my friends eat from the nosh. It's just awesome and really fun.
Yeah.
There was something else that I wanted to say, but I don't think I remember.
Well, you can always email me. Well, thank you so much. This is really useful. And it's, you know, I think it's going to be good to just sort of give counselors who may or may not be familiar with, you know, so I work with a lot of Jewish students, but, you know, some counselors might have one or two. And so I think this will be helpful to sort of give them a glimpse as to what's out there on different campuses.
Yeah, actually, I remember now. But okay. I was just going to say, if it's possible to visit whatever campus that you're interested in for like a weekend, mm-hmm. I think that it's really important to like witness a Shabbat for yourself and see if it's really what you want in terms of that. And even just like campus life in general, not just like Jewishly, visiting and doing like a weekend stay is an awesome way to immerse yourself before you have to do it for 4 years.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, thank you. I'm going to